Hello friends, in this video we'll discuss another basic concept of Laravel, and that is all about the understanding of application models. Back to editor. Inside last video we have seen and discussed the detailed discussion of all about migrations. Now in this video we'll see the concept of application models. So first thing first, what is a model? So model is a class inside Laravel. By the help of that Laravel application, it means this application interact with the database table. For example, as we know that inside last video, we had created students database table. So if we want to execute any query or interact with this students table, so we need a model class. Model class will be created either by using PHP artisan command or by manual approach. But we'll follow the concept of PHP artisan. So once we create a model class, it will go and store inside this folder called app models directory. By default we can see here we have a file called user.php. So this is the by default model class provided by this application, which is interacting with the users table. So here we'll create our own custom model class which is going to interact with students table. One more thing, if we are talking about the naming convention, so the table name always should be plural and the model class name always should be singular. In this case, as we know that students table, as we can see, this is plural, but if we are talking about the model class name, so the model class name of this table should be student, and for this users it will be user. So let's create a model class file for this table. Back to terminal, we'll use the concept of PHP artisan. So if I type PHP artisan, go inside our make command section, so we can see a command called make model. Look at single line description, it create a new eloquent model class. So let's use that PHP artisan make model, and I will pass student. Press enter. Model class created inside app and models folder. Back to editor, go inside app models, and here we can see student.php. So we can see here this is the by default generated skeleton of a model class. Now let's discuss all about a model settings. So as we had discussed that any model class is basically to interact with database table. For example, this is the model class called student is going to interact with this table called students. So inside this model class, here we have several settings starting from table name to disable our timestamps column. So inside this model class, let's say that we have the table name called wp_students. By default, this model understands that the table name, by default, this model class understands that the table name called students, but in some cases, let's say that our table name is something called wp_students or tbl_students. So how to change this default behavior? So for that we have called protected. We have a table key equals to means it's a member variable, protected table equals to, and we need to pass the table name called tbl_students. So by adding this line of code, we are telling our model that the table name is not this one is the table name. Now next, let's go inside that table. Go to structure. Next one we have called the ID column. So by default, this model understands that inside this table, the ID column will be the primary key. Now in some cases, let's say our own custom created column is a primary key. So how to tell or change the default behavior? So for that we have another variable here, that is protected. Protected equals to primary key equals to, and let's say custom_ID. Now by the help of this line, we are telling our student model that our primary key is not ID column, it is something custom_ID. Now next, here we can see that by default, big int is the data type of this primary key. In our case, let's say data type will be let's say string value. So in that case, we need to tell protected equals to key type equals to string. By the help of this line, we are telling that our primary key is of a string type. Next we have for the auto increment. So as we know that this IT column, which is a primary key, is auto increment, so we don't want this behavior. So what I will do, protected equals to incrementing equals to false. By the help of this line, we are informing our model that we don't have any auto incremented column. And finally, if we don't want these columns as created at and updated at, so to disable, we have, let's say, public equals to means public timestamps equals to false. Once we add this line, then model will know that in our tbl underscore students table, we don't have the columns as created at and updated at. So these are the basic settings. By the help of that, we can inform or change the default behavior of a model class. So once we do all these settings inside a model class, as simple as that, we need to load a model class inside our controller class or anywhere inside application. After load, we need to create an object of that, and by creating an object, we can perform any database operation. Either it will be insert operation, update, delete, or any type of select query. So this is the simplest way to explain all about application models, how basically we can create and how to use inside a Laravel application. In the next video, we'll see some more basics concept. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.